How are you?
Good, how are you?
Not bad.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Enjoying the fall so far?
Yeah.
Did you go to like the apples, do the apples or anything, or the pumpkin
We
farm?
go to Beacon Skill, but we didn't actually go out on the still there. Yeah, no, it's we go to Navarre and all that. Have you ever been there?
Which one?
Navarre.
I don't think
It's
so.
like out Beacon Skill, but it's not as official.
It's another apple orchard?
It is.
Got it.
Still like kind of, oh no, you sent that to this person, but did you see people don't really know about it as
Gotcha, yeah, yeah.
it's getting
Well,
way
where do
more
I
that
find
way,
out
but
this procedure? Oh, we just know.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, and one of my things
Yeah,
today
exactly.
was, am I a requester or an approver?
Yeah,
a shack and
For
the
the
orchard.
yeah.
When no one knows. And so
That's
I
fun.
decided that I am both.
I'm ready for some apple cider. I haven't gotten any yet.
No, like, I think
Apple cider?
I'm the director.
Hard ciders.
Oh,
This.
okay.
Celiac, so.
I want to
Gotcha.
be both because it's going to be
Yeah, that
annoying
makes
not to
sense.
be.
That makes sense.
There are people who are both,
Um,
so I'm going to be both.
I love
So I sent
warm
them the
apple
form today.
cider.
They were
And
like,
then,
well,
you
the
know,
person
put some
who
like
would tell you
spiced
is
rum
the
in
director.
there.
I'm like, I'm
That's fun.
be both.
That's a
And
fun
they're like, you
drink.
don't know if you can say that.
I know, and I keep hesitating, like, and I realize, like, I'm the only one.
Yeah.
I don't like ask Kate stuff. Just decide. Tina, I'm sorry to interrupt. Did you hear from Takara?
You know, I have not. I did call and I did text her sister, and I have not heard anything.
We're waiting for Takara.
It's without her. It's not
Without
a.
it, we don't have a quorum.
Takara.
Alright. Should we do a seance
Yeah.
right before they turn the camera on?
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I was like, okay, it's 5:30, we should maybe try and.
Yeah. She went, well, I feel horrible. I haven't been here forever.
Where you been?
Yes. Yeah. I'm there. I love it. We were just complaining. It's like, you know, I work for Syracuse University, which I forget is like still not a state institution, but now I work for the state. It's like so much bureaucracy. I'm not used to it.
Where you working now?
SUNY Oswego.
Oh, cool.
It's little things. Like all of it will be resolved, but it's when we're in the middle of install of a new exhibit and they just dump this like obscure thing in my lap with odd terms that haven't been defined, like requester, approver. I'm like, well, what is a requester?
Okay.
Who's approving what?
Right.
Am I a requester? Oh, we don't know. Well, who would know? Oh, we don't know. Well, I have to fill out the form, and you want it yesterday. But
Did you-
so it's basically like this weird search for definitions
Yeah.
to find out that the person who decides is me.
Did you ever see the movie Brazil?
No.
Have you seen that, Emmanuel? It has nothing to do with the country, actually. In fact, it's related to the song. But it's
Looking into it. Her phone is having issues, but Patrona's going to try to
It's,
contact her a different way.
the guy who did like
Maybe you can give it like 10.
12 Monkeys. Terry Riley. No, not Terry Riley. Oh my God, what is his name? He also did like Time Bandits.
Okay.
Anyways, we don't need to talk about that film, but it's a satire of bureaucracy
Yeah.
to an absurd extent.
Well, I found out eventually after delaying my needing to install and paint walls because artwork's coming tomorrow, I get to decide if I'm a approver and requester, and I decided I am both.
You're
Thank
both.
you.
You've manifested.
I'm not quite sure what both do.
Hey, whatever you do, that's what they do.
That's what we're
Yeah,
gonna do.
no, absolutely.
I am approving and requesting all the
We
invoices.
can just start and get on with like the rest of the stuff, and then go back to just to keep the meeting moving.
Sure, you mean the minutes and stuff, but do we have to have a quorum?
Well, not the minutes, but like the discussion part.
You have to have 6 people to do that?
I don't think so, because we're not voting on anything.
Cars, coming?
It is uncertain.
Is Tony here, gonna be here?
No,
Tony,
he's in New York City.
Oh,
yeah. he's
Isn't
in
that
New
his
York.
mural?
Yes, so Ali
Oh.
Zapple is actually
hi.
going to represent
Gotcha.
him. That was a piece of the
Sorry,
puzzle.
Ally.
That was a piece we figured out. I didn't. Oh, no, I did touch that. Ali, do you want a copy? Or do you
What do you think? Should we call it to order and just do the discussions? Yeah. Okay.
Is it Tony or Tone?
no. I think he goes by Tony.
Tony.
Yeah. But I've heard people call him Tone, so I don't know if they don't know.
I think
What
he
they're
goes by
talking-
tone too. It's,
Okay.
Yeah.
I never know. Like, do you know what you're talking about, or do I not know what I'm talking about?
Do any of us know what we're talking
Am I an approver or a requester?
Yeah, Tony moved to Washington. Tony moved to New York City.
about? He did.
Yeah, so that's why he's not able to be here.
He
But he
moved.
wants to come back and paint this mural the weekend of the 21st, 21st of October. So we made a contingency plan.
So we'll start and then we'll just do the discussion part and hopefully
Okay.
to give Takara some time. Does that sound good?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to call this meeting to order. My name is Tina Zagiva. I am the chair of the Public Art Commission. We're going to take a moment to go around to introduce everyone on the commission.
Kelly Sickler.
Elias Gwynn.
Emmanuel Carter.
Vanna Robity?
And Anko for Public Art Coordinator.
So we currently don't have a quorum, which means that we can take a vote, but we can still hold a meeting and have some discussion while we hopefully wait for somebody to join us. So I'm going to jump right down to number 6. Anne, do you want to talk about this, recruitment of new commissioners?
Tina and I briefly discussed that we think we have 2 slots available. Anita unfortunately had to resign because of the commitments of her new full-time position, and she can't make it back to Syracuse for the meetings and just the day-to-day responsibilities that she has now. So she was very sad to step down, but she has now stepped down from the commission. So we have 1 position definitely available. And I had a conversation with Ellen a number of weeks ago now, and Ellen was on the fence about what she wanted to do, but has not to this point officially submitted her resignation. But we are pretty much looking at 2 potential spots available. So we are seeking suggestions from people, reaching out to people who might be interested.
And I don't know what seats they hold because like what we are appointed to, it's like artist, non-artist, et cetera. But, we as a commission should think about what skill set we need now and who in your network has the type of skill sets that we need that you would recommend that would want to do it. So yeah, if you can think of anybody, we have a few people that have implied that they're interested, but we wanted to cast a net out from the rest of the commission to see if, there's anybody else that's interested.
What about Josh? He works for the park department.
I don't know how that works, like,
He would be a non-artist.
yeah.
See, it's more of these questions that I don't know the answer to. I'll write his name down, and then I will follow up.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a conflict because he's a city employee, like, that's my only thing.
Yeah, I don't know either. Bureaucracy.
Did you have something to say?
Just trying to think of, okay, so Anita, Ellen, Lauren, who else? Is Takara?
We have Takara and Blondine and Maggie, who are not here this evening.
Maggie.
And Benny.
And Benny.
And Benny, I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Got it. So we have 12, and we have 5 here now.
Well, we have 11
11 altogether.
total.
Oh. We have-
And 10 without
It's right at the
Anita.
top of your paper, if that helps. It's uneven intentionally, I think, because of the
Yeah.
voting
For a vote.
process.
Anita is not on here because she already resigned, right?
Correct.
Got it,
It's
okay.
really hard to have someone live in city limits. I know someone who would like to be on the commission. She's a street over, a street outside.
And I will check whether it's not artist or non-artist. I'm sorry that I didn't do that before I came in today. I think that they're both artists, under artists.
Okay.
I think so.
Okay. Well, in any case, send us your recommendations, even if they don't live in the city, and then we can see if there's flexibility. I don't know how that works with the ordinance.
I think it was before Kate left, and she was like, "Oh, it's a hard no. We've looked into it before. Even
Okay.
if it's a street over."
But he could be on a task force to help us out. Because we do need non-commission members to be on these task forces.
We can do that.
Yeah,
We need to,
absolutely.
'cause
Please.
we can't have more than 2 commissioners in a room at a time.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah,
Robert's
I know.
rules.
I
Yeah.
forgot. I tried to wipe that out of my mind. That entire meeting. Yes, I remember that. Okay. I'll mention it to her. She's Julia, who works at the Schweinfurt. She's literally 1 street over from the city line.
Okay. All right, we'll send any recommendations directly to Anne. And then, Anne, you want to take the next bullet point?
Yeah, I am currently struggling to write a grant to CNY Arts for a Tier 3 grant. So organizations can apply for the Tier 3 grant. Probably you guys are aware of that. So it's for the maximum of $10,000. Their funding's been cut a lot this year, so whether we will receive, even if we're accepted, whether we will receive the full amount. And I'm applying to put it towards having a public sculpture exhibition next summer. We have some money in parks also, but the idea was with more money, we can ask more artists to participate. My original thoughts were that because my position now is in parks, and we've, to my knowledge, not ever had a public, with LIPE exception, LIPE has had public sculpture exhibitions, but we've never had artwork in any of the other parks in recent years. So my idea was to ask for a call for proposals from local and regional artists, and then pick a number, whatever we can fund with the money, and have them participate in a public art exhibition that would run through the summer next summer. That's the very basic idea that I had. Obviously, it's open to discussion about your thoughts about how that would work and ideas about how it might be successful next summer. I just wanted you to be aware that that was something I was wanting to implement. Because previously, if we've had public art, it's been able to have public art come into the city. It's been situated in downtown locations. So I thought it would be interesting to have it in a park situation.
Yeah, I like that too.
So who makes a decision on the grants that are written for public art in the city? Like, are we going to ever be involved in that process?
To write the grant?
To suggest ideas for the grants, or is that specifically falling on your shoulders? I'm just curious.
No,
Like,
it
how
could
do
be.
we get involved with like who decided to write this grant for sculptures in the parks? Like, who made that decision?
Me, because the grant came up, and I decided that it would be a good idea to try and participate in getting money for an exhibition. But it doesn't mean that, I mean, I think anybody can, this one is for organizations. So if you guys saw a grant, it would depend on the stipulations of the grant as to who it would have to be partnered with to apply for the money. The Grace grant you can apply for as an artist.
I guess this leads back into my bigger conversation of what is the commission's role, and how are we directing what public art is happening in the city? How are we being a part of the decision-making process? Whereas, and I'm not like, it's not neither bad nor good. I'm just saying you're coming to us telling us this is what you're doing, and then what? Like, how do we fit into any of that decision-making process in the bigger context of things?
Yeah, I mean, I could have come before I'd started to apply. I mean, I haven't yet finished applying So as far as the content and what the money is used for, we can discuss that. The grant's due on the 21st of October.
I think what Tina's asking is the bigger, right? Like in general, like not specifically this grant or like not specifically your idea, which, you know, that, but like generally speaking, like should this committee be seeking grants and seeking funding and generating projects? Like, should we be like, because like, as I know of it, which is admittedly very minimal, my understanding of our rules or in our rule, that like the bulk of what we do is like to approve projects. And now there's this new potential phase or this new potential sort of like identity that this organization would, this committee would take, which would be generating projects. We would be initiating projects. Is that right? Is that?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't see why not. I was thinking
not?
that with the task force, that's what we were leaning towards.
yeah, but again, like we're going towards the master plan, the greater vision, and supposedly all working together. And I think I'm not saying it's a good idea or a bad idea, neither here nor there, but like you're then proposing stuff to us when we're trying to organize ourselves and figure out where we're going with any sort of funding. So,
Right.
yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know how many of you guys have time to like write grants in your spare time.
Well, I don't think we would write grants. That
Right,
would be,
But what I'm saying is, and when you're an organization, you often have, you're more aware of grant opportunities. So, I mean, we could, I'm sure Anne would be happy if we found grants and let her know and created a plan for how it should go. But even just starting out, she's going to need to be securing funding quickly and right away, so that we can continue to build our goal of getting more funds into public art accounts. So I think it might be a mix of both. I think Anne might go after some grants just to get us rolling. And then we should all like get thoughtful about, sometimes the grant itself is structured so that you kind of like have to do it a certain way. But we could put the task force that's for
Yeah, we have a-
fundraising and foundations on generating a list or some agenda that then we approve in meetings and get, create some
yeah,
goals.
I think,
But,
that's not difficult to find local grants or
Yeah.
local organizations. And I think, we can put that list together. I probably have that list somewhere.
Yeah.
But in the greater, there's also bigger money,
Yeah.
that we aren't aware of. But I think, for my understanding is that I don't want to write grants, but I'm actually helping write the LIPE grant,
Yeah.
which, again, is a city park, but we are writing a grant to put art there.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that, but I will. But I guess what I'm saying is, yeah, like this is an identified project that is community driven, but the community is doing the work. So where do we come in as a commission? Where does our staff come in to help
I
that
think
type of stuff?
Just in what I said, that there's going to be other things going on around us that involve public art, but I think our goal is within our task force for fundraising, which can be grants are part of that. That group identifies some grants, identifies some projects. We turn that over to Anne, and we discuss it in the group, and then we go for it. And then if whatever we get, we help support and enact that project.
Yeah, I mean, this is the root of an idea. I mean, it can evolve over time. I mean, I mentioned it prior to this. It's just that the grant happens to be due in a couple of weeks.
I guess, also tying into the bigger picture too is, we're coming in as an entity saying, hey, Kirk Park, we're going to put a sculpture in your park. Do they want that? Or do they want a greater say? You know, I think if we're going to put art in city parks, we need to involve the community in these conversations and not be the decision makers ourselves. But is that wanted? You know, again, like, I don't know. And we can put our efforts into it and put our money into it. But is it worth our time and effort, I guess, is what I'm saying. Is that specific project worth it? And I don't know.
So with the money that is available for the next 12 months, with or without additional grant funding, would the commission prefer to see those funds go to artworks or temporary artworks or whatever is decided in locations downtown rather than in parks or in other public spaces?
Are you talking about the 35,000?
Yeah, I mean, I guess this is kind of what my question, what I was curious about is like, how much do you all feel? Because I mean, I guess, you know, we're kind of writing it, we're kind of making it up as we go. But how much do you guys feel that we should be involved in like curating rather than just facilitating?
So what you guys are all dancing around are really well-established processes, and you're getting into the call aspect versus the original inception. Yeah, because all of this can be organized in the call. So you're asking, does Kirk Park want a sculpture? And I think we know that public art in parks is good and amazing for communities, and of course, I think, yes, they would love a sculpture. Then the question becomes, how can they help select? Which would be part of the call and selection process, which is part of the curation
I guess what I'm saying with Kirk Park specifically is that I think they would rather have a mural on their basketball court than a sculpture, is what I'm saying. So that might be a different project that they have in mind versus a sculpture, that they would rather see the money towards,
Right.
is what I'm saying.
Okay.
I mean, I think that, I don't know if I should be the person to have that.
If I can suggest, I think that, you know, I used to work for the city's Department of Community Development, which morphed strangely enough into business, neighborhood and business development, okay? But it was very different when I was working for the city. And professional staff was expected to come up with ideas all the time, okay? Not to wait to be guided, directed, or approved, but to generate ideas. We had nothing to lose. The city had hit 140. We were as bad as we were going to get. You know, but I think too that looking at, you know, on the one hand, you know, Anne is staff to this commission, but she's also professional staff to a department, and the department should be coming up with ideas, okay, and we should be taking advantage of the fact that we now have somebody whose full-time, daytime job is thinking about public art.
Otherwise, she's going to be waiting on us like all day long.
So how does that fit into our, not necessarily, but how does that fit into our bigger picture,
Right.
like our master plan and our role in implementing
So-
public art? Like,
so-
how does all of this come together is what I think the question
So
is.
what we would do then is be a part of the call process. So once some project exists, we start asking the question, okay, does Kirk say a mural or a sculpture or whatever? We need to select a jury of people to select the work that comes in. We need to make sure that the artists in the community are aware of the opportunity. So we are on the other end of it. We're not curating the park, the community is, so we're gonna be that bridge. So that's on the call for entry side of the project. That's putting out the call for entry, that's working with the community on the call for entry to get it to ask for what they want, and then that's selecting members from the community or identifying members of this commission that can represent the community or all of that to be on that selection process so that by the time it gets to this body, it's polished, it's ready to go, and we've kind of guided it to the end result, which would be here. So,
And I would just interject, thanks, Hannah. I would just interject that nothing's set in stone, and it was an idea that had been floated. I felt that it was a good idea, and so I've spent a bit of time pursuing it. But the grant's not written yet completely. Definitely haven't been awarded the money, and it definitely, I would feel I want, and it's tasked to you guys to discuss these ideas, think them through, edit them, say, no, that part's a really bad idea, should do something else. Because the grant could be used for something in the city. It doesn't have to be in the parks. But I guess the big idea is to try and, there is some money, and so to try and get it used on public art in some fashion, and time is ticking as far as making decisions about how that's done.
Right, applying for that grant. So to clarify, I'm not against the idea by any means. I haven't really even thought about the idea, this specific sculpture in that specific park or anything like that. I'm more thinking just in general, like, what is the role, how do we think of ourselves as a committee? Like, you know, and even then, I'm not opposed to one or the other. I'm just really trying to just wrap my head around it. So, from what I'm hearing from you, Emmanuel, that maybe it's not a bad thing for us to be somewhat proactive in terms of generating ideas and in terms of sort of generating projects that otherwise are not, like, the seed has not been planted, but maybe we can create the seed and plant it ourselves.
Sure, yeah.
And you feel like that's the commission should be doing?
You know, I think generally in municipal work, boards and commissions and committees come up with ideas, so does professional staff. If we come up with something, we take it to professional staff because it's their full-time, daytime job to get the bloody details right.
Right, of course.
And also to do the community outreach, which we always did. So I think the thinking can go back and forth both ways, but I think if anytime any professional in a municipal department, you can't keep them if they can't generate ideas. Okay, because they'll go where they can.
Okay.
So I think we should be receptive to ideas, and unless the idea is really terrible, which we can say, but unless the idea is really terrible, then our job is to say, how can we get this going?
How specific do you think our ideas should be? Like, how specific? Like, should we kind of like set up a certain, like, bring it to a certain point, like identify the medium and the location, perhaps, and then otherwise let the artist take it from there? Or like, how much of it do you feel like we should be, us, the committee specifically, should be like outlining those?
Yeah, I think that might. I think we should be having a back and forth with professional staff about that. And because we have not been in this position before, I think we should try it out and see how it works, and we can improve it as it edges forward.
Okay.
there's definitely some projects we need to get rolling. And then from the back end, we can start, in our task force, thinking of projects, thinking of ideas, getting some groundwork laid, and then, Anne can look for funding or say, oh, look, we got this other grant that I think can fit into. So I think it's just a matter of getting the engine turned on and running.
Right. Just get a couple projects under our belt.
Literally need to get some projects under our belt.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying that's an excuse to rush that process, but I think it'll be both us generating ideas and
Yeah, what we found and what I've seen in, before I became faculty, in field practice, there's always people who aren't professional staff who want to kind of run the show, okay, which is not what I'm suggesting is on the table right now. But what they usually find out very quickly is they don't have the time to actually make things happen. And for professional staff, their job is to make things happen.
Right.
We
Okay?
can always read a draft of the grant and provide feedback. That's what we're gonna have time for.
It'd be a bit embarrassing if you read it as it is right now.
I do not want to write a grant. I'm gonna have to write my own.
So
Yeah,
I
right,
guess
too
like,
many.
you know, back to, because Lipe Art Park Group is writing this grant for
Yeah.
Lipe Art Park. But why are we writing the grant?
Why are we?
Why does Lipe have to write the grant for a project? Why can't it be staff at parks to help write the grant for a project in a park? So we don't have to write that grant.
I guess not, but I mean, if we wanted more money,
So the only reason we would write it is to get additional money on top of the city writing for money.
that would be one reason to do it, yeah, because I couldn't apply for the same thing twice. So, I mean, I could apply for the grant for LIPE, but LIPE seemed to want to do it as an independent, as far as I knew, as an independent entity to write it for their show, for their
I
exhibition.
don't think, I mean, it's coming on my plate and another person's plate to help to co-write it.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, we still need permission from parks to even apply. And we need a fiscal sponsor to put the money through, which gets into that fundraising conversation that I was trying to have a couple months ago through my task force, is the expectations of a fiscal agent with getting grant money for a project happening on city property. And that applicable to any fiscal sponsor for any types of money. You know, I'm not getting into the nitty-gritty about the stipulations of the grant. I'm just saying overall policy system in place. And I think they're working with the Syracuse Parks Conservancy again. And I
That's what they
don't
said at the
know
last meeting.
if that process has improved a little bit, communication, getting the money flowing. I know Tommy Lincoln ended up painting the mural a couple weeks ago or something, finishing it. But that was 2 months after the proposed date or something like that because he couldn't get the money. So I think, you know, again, we don't want to do all this work. I know Ann can't do all the work, but we need to make sure that people are doing projects on behalf of the city in public parks, that they're being done appropriately and people have a clear understanding of expectations.
So the Parks Department can't fiscally sponsor two different projects. Is that how,
No,
likely not?
they can't apply for the same
Same
grant
grant,
twice. So there's two different grants that are the CNY grants right now. One is the Tier 3, which is
Yeah,
and obviously organizational.
And are
And
they
then
applying to
they're
a
applying
Tier
for the
3?
Grace.
Grace
The
grant.
Grace grant, okay.
Oh, yeah, so that would be,
So,
That's independent.
yeah,
oh,
So as an artist, you can apply for that $5,000 to use.
so it's to do with the type of grant it is. So she can apply to this one as an organization, but the artists have to apply for the Grace one. So, like if that wouldn't be on, I just wrote one for a thing for myself. My organization, my fiscal sponsor had nothing to do with writing the grant. I wrote it all myself. So it has to do with the artist putting up the work. So long as their fiscal sponsor, which is Parks Conservancy,
yeah, we're not even the artists, though. We're just trying to get a project funded for LIPE to put on an RFP for other artists.
or other.
Correct.
Okay.
But anyway, that's a whole other
I'm not familiar
discussion.
with the Grace grant ones, but the way that's worked in the past was the individual artist went for it themselves. But there may be something new with that type of grant. Okay, I feel
We need to probably
Yeah,
move on
sorry.
to, sorry, not to
Yeah.
Kara's here. So we can move on to our proposal.
New business.
New business.
Wherever you're comfortable, I guess, right?
Oh, yeah, actually, if you don't mind coming up to the microphone.
Preparations, I know we all have the same documents, so thank you for the opportunity. I'm here to represent Tony Washington, I guess, and I can call him on FaceTime if there's anything I'm not equipped to answer. The mural would exist outside of Westcott Florist. I just know Tony as a friend, casual acquaintance that I just got to know better. I actually first just admired his work up on the water towers, and felt pretty emotionally touched at different times by Tony's work. One being the bee thing here, I believe. That the text that accompanied that bee on the water tower is, the bullet that you send will be the bullet that gets you in the end. And it stayed for a really long time, and it was powerful. My sister's from Pittsburgh, and she teaches art history, and we often go up to the water towers to see some of the different works up there. And the other one was Harold and the Purple Crayon, which was a favorite of mine during childhood. And I'm not even sure if all of this is even necessary, but as long as I'm Tony, I'm going to be Tony. And the other opportunity I had to encounter Tony's work was, not even knowing all of this was Tony's work at the time, actually, was a mural that was a heart. Tony kind of has a signature heart, if you all know his work. And it was 2020 BLM. And, you know, I was an advisor at SU for ages, and I am an advisor to medical students at Upstate now, and I have that in my office as my quiet way of saying, this is a safe space. And I had it on my door during COVID. So I speak for Tony for personal reasons, I suppose, and I got an opportunity to learn who he was because one of my sons skateboards and skateboarded with Tony. So then I got to know him, and I went to some of his exhibits, one being at Commercial Arts Supply, and the other one was recently at CFAC, and I actually purchased a couple of his works. So to circle back, this garage is mine, the little one with the black and white, and I just asked him to do whatever he wanted, and that's what he did. So I can vouch, I suppose, for his skills. I've invested in his art. I can vouch that it lasts. The mural still stands as beautiful as it is in that picture. So it sounds to me like Tony has gotten together with the Westcott Art Store owner, and he explained to me they collaborated on the design. It's loosely based on the logo, and you know the picture that you see there of the one, this one. No, the picture that you see, you know, with the flowers is basically a rendition of what the work would be. I did text him for a couple additional details, anticipating that the Public Arts Commission might just appreciate. So let's see, it is, I just asked him materials, and he said high quality paint and primer. The image was a collaboration between the owner and I. It was based on the Westcott Florist logo, but we reworked it into a simpler kind of design concept and shape. The colors will be true to the colors in the mock-up, and the spray paint color codes match my pen. So those would be the details. I guess that covers location, Allie's impressions of the artist's work as a community person who found his work to be meaningful in the community, and then just some of the logistic things I assumed you might need to know.
Any questions? You said the surface is what that he's painting on? I'm sorry? Brick.
So yeah, I asked him that today too. So this is glass, this is currently brick. So he would prime that, and then this is a combination of spray paint. I mean, I'm very familiar with the Westcott neighborhood. I've lived in Westcott for 22 years now. So, you know, sort of everything from when Picasso was there to the library and the mural that Anne did. My kids were part of the kids who used the dental instruments to scrape off the grout. I'm a big fan of public art.
It's a big project.
And, you know, as just a resident with Dorian's kind of being in limbo, I think the installation of color and hope and flowers, certainly supporting the frame shop, which has always been a fabulous establishment.
There's also a really cool mural on the other side of the parking lot.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's beautiful.
I also live in Westcott, and I'm excited to see this come to
Yeah.
fruition.
yeah, I mean, you know, I obviously was present during the previous conversation, so I hope to really impart on this commission that we value your time and your contributions in doing this, and I know it's often laborious who writes the grant and who signs it, and is this my job description and why? However, we appreciate you.
Thank you. That's
So, you
very
know,
kind of you.
I really public art and community building. So I know it's a drag, but I value what you do and the discussions we need to have to get it done.
And I think we also appreciate you taking the time to come in here because, you know, we want to make sure that the public art coming in, that the process is followed so that, you know, everything is appropriate. And so, you know, people like you coming in, taking the time to do this is greatly appreciated and respectable. So thank you.
Well, and I enjoy anything, like Kirk Park, my kids play football there, you know, like, so these are all places that are meaningful for the children when they're children and for the children when they're beyond children. And, you know, similar to the Westcott, the Berry Park mural and the woman whose opposition, I believe, I remember reading an article about how she grew up in this
Cecily,
area.
yeah.
And it was quite meaningful for her to be able to do that kind of full circle
Mm-hmm.
appreciation for the park.
Anybody have any questions? Can I get a motion to approve?
I'd like, go ahead, Takar.
Takara first,
I'd second.
second, all in favor? Motion carries. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Real quick, before we move on, I did want to say, because the City as Canvas project did come up, that a young student, a young photographer, took pictures of all these City as Canvas murals and matted them and made labels, and she was hoping to get them on display in City Hall. So I wasn't sure the process and how to communicate that to her,
Yeah.
but,
Tell me and I can help figure out when is a good time to work out which space she wants to use, and then we can get them
okay,
put up.
great.
Like the size and then how they're matted, because they have these big hooks that they use. So it's
Okay.
some logistical stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure how she matted them. I think that's just on the black mat board.
Yeah. We'll
Yeah.
figure it out. Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, they're great. I mean, she did a great job with them, so. I guess we should go back to approving the minutes. We missed that one.
Yeah.
So I'll give everybody a moment. And I was not there, so I don't feel comfortable.
I'm like catching up. I'm glad to hear that someone mentioned how short the utility box call was. Call for entry. Like nobody could submit to that. It was like barely a week to put up a design. I thought about applying. I was like, oh, I would love to. It'd be cool. And I was like, I ain't got time for this. To create something new to spec, like, and yeah, okay. Anyway, thanks for bringing that up. Oh, they're doing the sorry, I narrate my thoughts. It's a problem. The creek float.
Yeah, Stephanie works in parks, is a big advocate, yeah. The Creek Rats really want to bring it back, so.
I put her in touch with Missy Zawacki, who took it over for a while. And she had a good system down. So I hope that she connected with Stephanie. And she had a lot of ideas.
She did get back to us, yeah.
Oh, good.
Saying that she would be happy to support.
Yeah, because she connected to a bunch of youth groups. She had workshops at the Gear Factory. She got supplies donated, the tubes. Like, she had it down. So she would be a great person to consult and maybe bring on the team if she has time.
My neighbor has a bunch of them in her attic from previous. It's creepy.
That's funny.
And TNT has them on their website for the downtown. They got some great pictures of it from
We funded that.
2016.
A couple times we actually funded that.
Yeah, some great images on TNT website.
Thank you. Those are mine.
I vote to approve the minutes.
All right, do we have a second? Elias, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Also, announcement. I don't know if anybody's heard, but we have a new commissioner of parks starting in November, Miss Saisha Bird. I don't know if anybody knows.
Awesome.
I know.
Oh, that's so cool.
So it's super exciting.
That is awesome. That's so exciting.
Yeah, it's good news. And I think we need to go back down to, do we have any task force updates? I'm jumping around here. I don't have any. No? Okay. Moving along. Public Arts Coordinator updates.
Pretty much gave you my update. It was about writing the grant. And so I guess you could email me, or if you have any thoughts about it. I mean, I'll send out the draft when it's written.
Are we allowed, so if you send us, because I can't come to the next meeting, but I'd be happy to do some stuff on the draft for you. But it would have to be not in commission. So could I send it to another commission member to present my notes?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
Just
that's
to
fine.
help the process?
Yeah.
Okay. Because now I'm still thrown by what we're allowed to do and what we're not allowed
Also,
to do.
Anne, you had mentioned the 35,000 that we have, and you had some ideas. Would you be able to put those ideas together to send to us? And then we can talk about that at the next meeting together and how we move forward with some of those things? Because I think you had some great ideas, and I know that they were in flux and you weren't sure how to approach some of them. But I think we have a great set of minds here that can help steer it in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, one of them was using the parks, which is that's very broad. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, anything else? Anybody else? Going
Motion to
once?
adjourn?
Okay, second.
All in favor?
Motion carries.
Thank you for your time, everybody.
You.